Hi, I'm Justin, and welcome to the Landis Look, where we take an inside look at the world of real estate. Today, we're going to take an inside look at what happens when a house is on the market and it hasn't sold. So we didn't have to take a look at this from like 2012 to 2017 because most houses sold right away. And oftentimes, if you did have a house on the market then and it didn't sell right away, the only thing you had to do was wait for the market to rise to meet the price that you were asking, and then it eventually sold and you got the price that you wanted. Well, you may notice that in your neighborhood now, you're seeing more signs that are staying up longer. And that's the case. And it's not that it's a bad market. Houses are still selling. The closed stats are actually still pretty good. But it is taking a little bit longer. And we're not seeing as many houses sell right away. So if you ever wondered what are those conversations like between the seller and the agent, and then what's the outcome of those conversations, well, I'm going to give you an inside look at that right now. Typically from the seller side, the first thing that they ask us is, can we do something different with the marketing? Do we need to revamp the marketing to either get more eyes on the property, different eyes on the property, the right eyes on the property? And that is a valid question. I find that this is typically not the number one driver of why a house hasn't sold, but for sure this is worth looking at because we do want to get the right eyes on the property. And so the couple areas of that which we really need to evaluate for sure, first and foremost, is pictures, right? I mean, everybody is looking at the house online before they come to see it. So do the pictures show the house in the best light? And when I say light, it may be actual light, where the picture's taken on a day that wasn't super sunny. Did you have the pictures taken in a different season, and now it's a different season, and people can see that, hey, this was taken when there were no leaves, now there are leaves, we need to get those pictures updated. So that is definitely something to consider and something that we dig into. Secondly, do we have the house presented in a way that it's desirable to the folks that would be potential buyers? And so that has a lot to do with what are we putting in the descriptions. Even the picture orders, I don't know if you all know this, but we have very specific way that we do our picture order. And we do that in a way that we think highlights the best features of the house. But picture this, if you've been looking for a long time, say you've been on Zillow for a while, and you see these houses that you've seen over and over again, a lot of times you immediately write them off because you've seen them. Well, what if all of a sudden that house had new pictures, completely different description, the pictures were in a different order? You may not recognize it right away and take a second look. And that's really all we can ask folks to do, is to take a second look at it to see if we can get them to schedule an appointment. Because if you're working with an agent that you know has a marketing plan to sell houses, they've done it over and over, it's probably not, hey, they're not getting it in the right places. It might just be, hey, what folks are seeing for this property isn't matched up to what they want to see or the house that they want to buy. So that's step one, is, hey, let's look at the marketing. Do we need a marketing makeover? The second one, which is more common to actually solve the problem of getting the house off the market, is, do we need to do anything from a condition standpoint? And so that's one thing when your house has been on the market for a while. This is one of the best things about getting feedback, is, are we getting feedback that there is something that is turning buyers off or keeping them from making an offer? And if you're like me, if you're a numbers guy, if you're a dollar and cents person, you may think, why don't people just offer lower, do this work themselves, they can get the house that they want? That makes complete logical sense to me, may make logical sense to you, but after being in thousands of houses with people, that is not how most people think. Most people want to walk in and picture themselves in the house. They'll say things like, oh, this house feels so good. I can see us living in this house. That has to do with the condition of what's in the house. And honestly, a lot of times it has stuff to do with things that are not staying in the house. I can't tell you how many houses I've been in, and people will say something like that, and I look around and I think, it's because there's restoration hardware furniture and really amazing artwork on the walls, which is not staying with this house. It's not going to be here when you buy the house, but it does impact how people feel. And so that's the second thing, is, hey, is there something we can do, hopefully relatively inexpensively, to change the feel of the house so that when people come, they'll say, hey, I can see myself in this house. This is the right house for us. Or do you have an actual issue that needs to be taken care of, and people are not buying the house because you have a leaky roof, or you have a driveway that's all broken up and needs to be replaced? You may have something that actually needs to be done like that. It's not a cosmetic issue. And when you get that feedback, that's maybe what it takes to actually get the house sold. You have to take that. And a lot of times, actually all three of these pair together, but if you're doing condition changes, it's a good time to potentially mix up the marketing then, because you want to present the house again to the market. So we have marketing, we have condition, And the third one, and unfortunately, this is typically the one that actually makes the biggest difference, is price. A lot of times if the house hasn't sold, the price is just too high. And this can be one of the most frustrating things because even in this current market, you may look at the data, and if you're like me, that's what you want to do. You may look at the data and say, from a data standpoint, this house is not priced too high. This house is priced in line with what has sold in the market. But what is the truest indicator of market value? It's what someone will pay, right? It's what the seller will sell it for, what the buyer will buy it for. That is market value. That may not be appraisal value. That may not be the comparative market analysis value, but that is the actual value. It's what someone will pay for it. And so we have to look at, hey, is the house priced too high? And you may say, because this happens a lot, oh, we're not getting feedback that the house is priced too high, but people are still passing. Our experience shows that typically, if that's what's happening, the house isn't priced way too high, but often it is priced a little too high because the value is not there to get someone to pull the trigger. So it's not priced so high that people are like, yeah, this is ridiculous. This house is priced way too high. It's just that the value is not quite there in the eyes of the buyer to get them to actually pull the trigger. So those are the three things that typically can be done to take action to get the house sold when it's been on the market. Marketing makeover, condition makeover, pricing makeover. And then here's the fourth one, and this may be the hardest one of all. Sometimes you just need patience. Sometimes actually all of those things are right, and the right buyer just hasn't walked through the door. Because no amount of marketing or condition or pricing can force someone to show up and put a big pile of cash on your table and buy your house. It has to be an actual person who wants to buy the house. And sometimes it can just take a little bit of time. And so we haven't had to have a lot of patience over a lot of this decade to sell houses. But now sometimes we have. And if that is your situation, or you're worried you might get in that situation because you're going to sell a house coming up here in the future, take heart that the statistics show that when houses are selling, people are still getting good offers on the house. Now granted, every week the house is on the market, you typically do get a lower sales price to list price, but it doesn't completely fall off a cliff that, hey, if your house didn't sell until week 4, 5, 6, even 8, 10, then you're going to get a complete lowball offer, going to have to take a huge discount on the house. That's not the case. And as a matter of fact, you don't have to take any offer on the house, right? It's your house. Just because someone makes you an offer doesn't mean you have to sell it. So take heart that houses are still selling, even if you're seeing signs go up. Sellers are still getting good prices, but sometimes we do have to look at all of these factors to make sure that we're doing everything the absolute best that we can, because it just isn't a market where every single house is selling the first weekend, no matter the price, the condition, or the marketing. If you want us to take a look at your specific house, your situation, and see if we can offer some advice on one of those for you, always happy to do that. Drop us a comment here, send us a private message like a lot of y'all do, and we'd be glad to look at your specific house. So thanks for listening today. If you like it, share it with a friend. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.